There we go. And what else? Yeah, just be respectful. Use the emojis if you wish. And use the chat as much as you wish as well. Yeah, let's start, I think.
So should we first of all introduce ourselves, Vamsi? So I'm Deasy Bamford and I am a member of Diverse Art Network, co-founder with Vandana, and we were talking to you from our office based in the Arnolfini.
Hi guys, I'm Vandana, co-founder of Diverse Artists Network, and really looking forward to another branch out. We haven't had one for about a year and a half, so it's good to see some new people and connect with the rest of the Southwest.
And Mariah and Julia, would you like to introduce yourselves just so we can see? This is the Dan team.
I'm not going to unmute myself. Oh, hi, I'm Julia. I'm the communications coordinator at Diverse Artists Network.
Hi, I'm Mariah. I'm admin and events production apprentice at Diverse Artists Network.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Well, we were thinking that our introductions as the individuals was going to be in our title of our Zoom so that everybody can see what everybody's name is, what organization they're from, where they are based in the Southwest, because otherwise it would take us forever just saying, hi, I'm so-so. So we're going to skip that little bit and move on to the first part of the session.
So first we'll tell you a little bit about Dan. So the Diverse Artists Network started officially about during the pandemic, about two or 3 years ago, as a CIC, so a community interest company, which came from a project from the Tribe of Doris Festival, which has been running for about 30 odd years, which is now at rest. And Dan, the son of Doris, has been born. And so this year has been an interesting year for us, as we had a festival called Diaspora, which happened in May earlier this year. And we had an amazing festival across Bristol and the South or WECA region, that's the West of England Combined Authority region. So Bath, North East Somerset, and Bath. Yeah, I said Bath.
Yeah, Bath.
Oh.
Anyway, WECA region.
WECA region. We had music, theatre, film, spoken word, dance, basically all the arts, more or less, that we represent. And I'd say we represent cultural diversity majority of the time. That's what we're good at. So from that, we've been developing our agency and our membership. So that's something we'll talk about a little bit more later on, but it's something to bear in mind. Look at our website, it's being updated all the time, and make sure you do sign up to our newsletter, which I think most of you have been, as you would have heard about this. Yeah. So today we've got some speakers from different organizations and networks that we're connected with. So we've got Black Southwest Network. So anybody that represents Black Southwest Network, I think Derek's here and Bobby. If you want to say, you've got about sort of 10-ish minutes to talk about what you've been up to with your survey. So you've got a slot around that. Then we've got Joe here from Bristol City Council, who will be sharing something with us as well. And we've got Sarah James here from West of England Combined Authority as well. And if you want to share things with us as well, there'll be a bit of space towards the end. We'll have a bit of speaker's corner, which we always offer for artists and arts organisations to share any sort of opportunities and anything you're really doing that you might want the rest of the network to know about. So we're not going to waste much time. We're going to go straight into Black Southwest Network. And Derek, go for it.
Hi, yes. Hi, I'm Derek Tanner. I'm the Enterprise Development Manager at Black Southwest Network. Do you want to introduce yourself, Bobby?
Yep, I'm Bobby Joe. I am the research lead on the Culture Biz Connect program and co-lead on the incubation and grants program alongside Derek.
Yeah, Culture Biz Connect. It comes out of the Culture West program, which is the WECA and Arts Council funded program. We're leading a consortium with Diverse Artists Network and Creative Powertown around supporting, retaining, and showcasing diverse artistic talent within the region. If you look at the stats, Southwest is not the best region in the country for diverse artists. So again, when we were looking at sort of engaging with that challenge, we had the support of WECA in putting together really quite a significant bid that kind of developed the Culture West kind of program, which is a consortium of 31 kind of arts organizations across the WECA region, collaborating, coming together on a number of themes to deliver really effectively a hyper-local approach to kind of reimagining the cultural kind of ecosystem within the Southwest. That should improve our understanding of the connectivity of that ecosystem. That should improve the ability of artists and diverse artists and artists across the board to connect in with the support that's available across the ecosystem from a localized perspective. And obviously that will have benefits in terms of placemaking and a whole range of other factors. As I say, our particular stream is focused on diverse artists. And we really have kicked off pretty well in terms of theme 4, in terms of Dan's work around the Diaspora Festival. We're at the moment researching and then going to deliver an incubation program next year. And we are also working with Creative Powertown around the music festival. So that's kind of the offering in terms of showcasing opportunities. And we at Black Southwest Network have a kind of track record of delivering business support innovatively through business incubation and a range of other business support offers. And again, that's the area in which we will be focusing our kind of delivery on. So we'll be looking to recruit diverse artists. We will, to an incubation program, we'll be looking to offer financial support for that attendance of that incubation program, which will be over a course of about 6 weeks. We will also be looking to showcase some of that talent and also to commission some work from diverse artists to kind of support and raise the profile of their needs and wants and also their creative output. As an organization, Black Southwest Network also worked on another cultural project, a cultural project around a museum, which is again quite kind of forward thinking around the decolonization of the kind of museum space. And that's really about how we tell new narratives and stories from the cultural diaspora that represented within the wider Southwest, really, and how we create kind of platforms to enable that creative content and creative production to be kind of positioned and amplified so that those voices are properly represented from their perspective within the community. So it's really exciting time for us. It's a really exciting time, I think, for hyper-local creativity and cultural production. And we're looking to be, through this program, really kind of involved in that kind of engagement with new talents, new artists, freelance talent who are looking to kind of, create sustainable futures for themselves through their creative production and deliver the kind of business knowledge and know-how that they might benefit from in terms of creating, I would say, cultural and artistic business models that actually work and enable them to not have it as a side hustle, but to actually go forward and actually create wealth for themselves and for the communities and for others who might join them or collaborate with them within their chosen field. Now, what I would say is collaboration is key to this, and that's pretty fundamental about what we do. So thank you, Dan, for inviting us along, and over to Bobby and talk a little bit about the work she's doing.
I was just going to take that beautiful segue and run with it. Thank you guys so much for having us here. As Derek alluded to, we're doing a big piece of research leading into this incubation program, and that's where I come in. So what we have done to date are have actual community sessions in the community, listening to people in Bristol and Bath about their experiences as being Black and minoritized artists in the region, what it's like, what their hopes are, what their ambitions are, with a view to take these conversations and insights and really infuse the incubation and grants program with things that will target their needs, wants, hopes, desires, all of that stuff to, as Derek said, build these sustainable futures that are so important for arts in the region. From a racial justice standpoint, it's important that not only people who come from wealthy white backgrounds are able to produce art or consume art. So we have done a chunk of research to date. It is ongoing. It will continue to be ongoing. I'm going to pop the program link just in the chat. My biggest ask of everyone here would be to send it out, scream it from the rooftops. If you'd like a flyer, I will come drop off some flyers for you. The biggest thing to make sure that the research is sound and useful is participation and having as many voices as possible. We do have a listening session that's virtual. We wanted to make sure that we have catch-all sessions for people. We have been going out into South Gloss and North Somerset and all of those good things, but nothing is closer than Zoom at home. So we do have a virtual session this week and then another one coming up in early December. All of the dates are listed on the page. So if you know or love or are nemesis with an artist that you think might benefit from having their voice heard, please share the word, share the link. I would personally love to speak to institutions as well, because one of the pieces that we're also looking at are what are the gaps between what institutions want to and believe that they're doing, and is that actually reaching the target that they desire? Are they actually getting those bodies involved in their spaces and their projects and in their businesses? So and on that end, the ask is also, if you are an institution who works in the cultural sector in England, I would love to speak to you. I'll pop my email in the chat as well. If you have any questions, please ask them of me. And with that, I think we are just under that 10-minute wire, so I'll go ahead and be quiet.
Brilliant, Bobby.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm hoping that you've had quite a few responses already. And has anybody got any questions for Bobby or Derek at this moment? Please put your hand up or just shout it out. No? Okay, so shall we ask Joe Plimmer? You wanted to talk about Bristol City Council's infrastructure survey.
Yeah, thank you. I thought, oh, I'll come along and listen. I thought I might be saying something at the end that I wasn't going to get my 10-minute slot. So
I've got 10 minutes.
few minutes. Yeah, or whatever. But it's actually, that's really great. And it follows on really nicely from hearing about what Black Southwest Network are doing there. The reason I wanted to come along is I'm in the arts development team at the council. And what we found ourselves over the last few years, more and more, is ending up working really, really closely with people in our regeneration teams and our planning and development. It's been quite a journey for us, really, as arts officers. But what is exciting and interesting is that, you know, we all know there's a lot of pressures on space for artists, and affordable space and secure and sustainable space. But what feels positive is there are a lot of different teams in the council keen to work with us to try and find positive solutions around areas where things are changing. And the main thing I wanted to mention today was the work that's going on around Broadmead and the city centre. So there's the way that these, and I appreciate there's quite a few people here from, you know, across the region. It may not seem relevant, but I still think it is, because we really want to get we really want to understand what people's needs are around spaces and the pressure points around creative space. But the city has, over the last couple of years, created a city centre development and delivery plan, and it's like a massive document that guides all the different aspects that need to change around basically the city's main shopping area, Broadmead. That's a very kind of car dominated, like outmoded, a lot of retail, shrinking, disappearing, needing to reimagine itself. Lots of change going on into that area, lots more residential coming into that area. So the population in that area will increase by a couple of thousand over the next 5 to 10 years. And Broadmead sits in such it straddles such a contrast in socio-demographically. When you're just talking, Bobby Joe, about the sort of like that kind of more white and the privileged. There is a little bit of a to the west. It's where obviously lots of assets like the university and everything in, but Clifton and all of those areas, that they are a lot more affluent, and access to opportunities is a lot higher there compared to the north and the east, Stokes Croft and St Paul's and Easton. So the city centre's development delivery plan puts as a real key thing is like, if we're going to do this much change to the heart of our city, it's really got to be an opportunity that we try and address that contrast of opportunity, and how can we actually change this area but in a really inclusive way that makes it far more representative of what a diverse city Bristol is now, which it's not at the moment. It's very diverse, the people you see moving through Broadmead, but what's on offer to them isn't very representative. So there's this big piece of work going on. That development delivery plan was put together. It talks about everything from transport, environment, housing, and all of these things, and how the changes that might take place over the next 10 years. It went to committee in December last year and was approved by committee. And this means that it becomes a piece of material consideration, which means that any new development that's coming forward has to address some of the things that are in that development delivery plan. These are quite broad at the moment. The reason why I'm here today is because one of the very specific things that we did put in the development delivery plan about culture was about space and infrastructure. And there is a specific requirement or aspiration that 10% of new ground floors coming into the Broadmead area should be for affordable community and cultural use. So that's any of these big so there'll be student blocks coming in, but the shopping, the retail on the ground floor, 10% of that ground floor should be for affordable, sustainable community and cultural use. And that's the specific piece of work that we're working on at the moment with some consultants called PRD. And that's the reason why we have a cultural infrastructure survey at the moment, which is out for anyone, whether you're managing and offering space or whether you are an artist looking and needing space. We want to just get a sense of what are the pressure points, what are the interests. So I'll pop that in the chat in a minute. And I suppose it's in, as a council, you often, obviously you might go strategically, you're going to go like in certain ways, you'll do a development plan and then you go down to a cultural strategy for the area. It also depends when you get funding. We have particular funding at the moment that we've been able to identify from Homes England, which is meaning that we're going into some very specific things here. This work is come through Homes England and has to complete by March 25. So I wanted to come on here to talk about this, and in the new year we'll be moving into the other side. We've basically said for the city centre there are 3 things that need to underpin culture in the city centre. One is that there needs to be space that's an infrastructure that's there to enable it to happen, and it should be safeguarding what's there already and building off the assets that are there already. 2 is that there's opportunities for artists through public art, through cultural programming. This whole area is going to change and be very disrupted for a long time. So what does cultural activity and programming, what happens, what can that be in that time? How can it demonstrate where we want to get to? How can it be inclusive, and how can we make those opportunities? Where can we get the investment for that to happen? That's the other strand. And the third strand is culture linked social value, making sure that actually what we're doing really has guiding principles about the city that we want to represent and include. So we will be moving into another piece of work about that in the new year. And I think it would be really nice where we'll be working different consultants on that and our regen colleagues. But I'd really like with Diverse Arts Network and Black Southwest Network and different parties on the call to think about what does a discussion and a roundtable look for that in the new year. So I feel that's a little bit of a brain dump of what's going on. But I guess as an arts team in a council, we jump in sometimes. There are opportunities, and we work strategically sometimes. And I wanted to let you know, and I'll pop the survey in. We would love to hear from people, or if anyone else wants to just directly, I'll put my email in as well. Email me their thought, anything they want to say about space and infrastructure for artists and culture. I think that's me.
Great, thanks, Jo. Before we move on to the next bit, any questions for Jo at this stage? No?
Oh, I think I've got a question.
Okay, go for it.
Can we have a multicultural arts centre in the new Broadmead? I put that in our survey, I answered that, but if there's going to be revamped, I think that would be very good, wouldn't it?
Definitely.
Absolutely. And I think, absolutely. What we're looking at, we're learning from lots of other cities about, we've got lots of things, as you'll know, and I think you're coming to there's a cultural strategy session on Friday. We're a council that's in a new administration. There are new heads of service. There are a lot of strategies and documents, and it can be, overwhelming how we're asking people to engage. But this, as I say, that we have a particular, that 10% thing we have to unlock in order, because we've basically got developments moving fast. In the next 3 to 6 months, we need to be able to say, this is what we want of you. This is what we know the market needs. So that's why we're having to be ready with those things. But ultimately, this work will lead into a cultural infrastructure plan for the city, and any cultural infrastructure plan of any worth needs to have ambitions, not just go, what are the needs? We're starting with the needs and things, but it's like, where do we want to get to? What's the big thing that everybody wants to get behind? So absolutely, Deasy, glad you've put it in there. That's what we want to hear, is the ambitions as well. So thank you.
Thanks, Jo. So we got a lot to get through, and we want to talk to you, and we want to hear from you guys. Okay, it's a mixture of artists here and arts venues and organizations, and we were thinking the best way to do this is sometimes a breakout room where people get to meet each other. So our first question, which is connected to the survey, is explore important issues or challenges as an artist or an arts venue or a festival or an arts organization that you go through in your day-to-day lives, what you're trying to organize, you as an artist. So there used to be something called a jam board, which I was hoping we could use, which has now been scrapped. So that's not a thing anymore. So we thought we'd try a whiteboard, and we realized that we can only have 3 whiteboards. So we're just going to have to take some notes, I'm afraid. So old school styles. So Mariah's going to put everybody into breakout rooms now, and she will broadcast a question, so you will know what that is again. But it's just a chance for you to say hello to each other. You've got about 10 minutes to talk about your challenges. It's quite an important one.
Yeah, and it's specifically around sort of programming or being programmed, working with diversity in the arts. So if you're an organization, how easy is it for you to find artists? If you're an artist, how easy is it, or how difficult is it to get booked? It's those sorts of issues that we're considering to talk about. Alison, I'm very intrigued by how many people are in your room.
Yeah,
Do you want to tell us who you are? Because there's 4 of you,
or 5 of you actually.
or 5 of you on one screen, and how will we Shall we just put Alison into a group?
Who is Alison?
Or I think probably good in our own group, often with these things. So, yes, so I think our own group.
Are you from Are you Superculture?
No, this is Wren's.
Wren's.
Race
Oh,
Equality
Wren.
North
Hello.
at the other place. So we bring everyone together so we can actually continue all the discussions
After.
because we're quite a way behind Bristol, really, in Western. It's really right at the beginning bits of building those strong networks. So the more times we can all sit in the room together, the better. So
Well,
this is great.
Thanks for coming. So we'll put you as one participant in a group with maybe two others. Does that sound like sensible, Mariah? Mariah is going to put us all in groups.
Did you make me the host so I can put
Oh,
people
I thought I had.
instead of the co-host?
Ah, okay. Let me look at what do I do about that. How do I find you?
If you go to more next to my name and then you can.
I can't see. All right. Right. Let's. Okay. More make you a host. You are now the host.
Okay, great. Room.
And if you could use the chat in your rooms to highlight any of the issues, because then we can start bringing them together, and we'll send them back out to you.
Yeah. So open all rooms and yeah, sorry. I'm assigning people to rooms.
We're still all in the song, we're disappearing. Just make sure, Mariah, that everybody's got the question.
Yeah, I'll send the thingy out. Which is a bit plus room 2.
I think you're on mute, Amber.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi.
Sorry, I'm on my phone. I keep having to turn it upside down. Hi, everybody. Hello. How are you doing?
Well, hi.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but we had a very interesting conversation in our group, didn't we?
Yes.
I met some nice, lovely artists and a festival or music festival organizer from Keynsham. There were some really good points made, but I think, James, you need to share what you were saying to us, which is quite an important one, so that Jo is in the room as well. She can hear that. And then we're going to hear from some of your other groups. That just one point will be enough from each group.
I think the point we ended on was talking about, I think, having a plan for spaces moving forward is great, and I support all of that. I think there's an important point to be made about there's also about preserving the spaces that the city and the wider area already has. With Bristol in particular, obviously we're coming off the week where one of your major venues is announcing closure, and it's the third within 5 years, I think. And I said in the breakout, this is not me coming in and going, "Yeah, boo Bristol Council." I appreciate it's a much more complicated situation, but on a wider platform, places like, and this is more for WECA as well, Bath and Keynsham and Wells and all of these outward cities, we don't have these ability to have these spaces. We have the buildings, we don't have the spaces, and that's where how can we look to support Bristol by offering alternatives, and then from Bristol internally, how can they support the venues that they currently have, as well as creating additional spaces?
Lovely, thank you so much. Could we just ask, anybody manage to take notes in their groups? Or if not, I'm going to take notes now, as perhaps if one...
Okay, Didi, I'm taking notes. No
You're
worries.
taking notes. Fabulous, I'll stop. a habit of doing sort of 6 things at once. And then when you have a team of people to do it, you can't stop.
We'd love to hear from the other group. So how about the Wrens group? Let's hear from you.
That's
Hi,
Alan.
here-
So we're
yeah,
talking.
we had a
Yeah, go on.
chat with a couple of people from Bristol and Bath, and I can't remember the third place, but the overarching theme was about clearly the lack of connectivity with what's going on across North Somerset. We're a very dispersed area. The lack of connectivity between the cultural groups and artists in Weston, in North Somerset, the connection with Bristol and how much of the work is going on in Bristol, but very little connects up with Weston. How, because of the pricing of property in Weston, in North Somerset, sorry, let me correct myself, in Bristol, and the difference of pricing in North Somerset, that we're actually getting a lot of people coming down to North Somerset and Weston from a residential perspective, but also we've had lots of interest from artists who want to come down to Weston. And Weston seems to be talked about more now in Bristol among some of the artists up there. So there could be opportunities for greater collaboration. And we have a lot of buildings, as has just been explained, but very, very few spaces for creativity. A couple of theatres, a couple of galleries, etc. But very, very few real spaces that are amenable to performance or diverse creative work.
Thank you so much for that. That is brilliant. Does anybody else from that group want to say anything before we move to perhaps another breakout group? Which could be. Amber, what group were you in?
Oh, I was in with the Wrens group, so we were kind of talking a lot about the connection with Bristol and Weston, and how I actually know an artist who's put on some stuff in Weston, so it's there is definitely that connection, but it's like getting people connected even when they're in the same city. Even here in Bristol, working at Philwood, we're kind of in Bristol, but sometimes it feels like we're on the outside of it, and it's quite important to still like find ways of getting people to know about what things are going on, but how do you bridge that gap when there's not that space to use? And we're quite lucky in Bristol that we do have a lot of space, but as mentioned a minute ago, a lot of them are closing down and a lot of them are moving outwards. So it's like, how can we in the same way kind of do in similar way to Weston, and like connecting people on the outskirts of Bristol, but also connecting people with Weston and kind of exchanging there creatively.
Lovely. How about Anna? What group were you in?
Oh, I think
you're on mute.
Oh. Hi, sorry. I was in that group, but I explained to them I am new to Somerset, so I am really here to listen and learn about how it all works. I don't really have anything useful to contribute. Sorry.
Thanks for coming.
No, not at all. I'd like to find ways to do my work, but I'm still learning.
Thanks, Anna. What about Rita? I can see you now, Rita.
Okay. Well, we had a chat about. I believe we were trying to sense how was the difficulties, and I believe was space and funding, and I just spoke a little bit how I feel the spirit of people in arts, because I work in the West of England Museum, and I just believe about the spirits. I believe from the point of view that I received, Prince Charles is one guy who endorsed a king. Sorry, I said who endorsed arts. And I believe you need to mingle. This is my belief, because I am a person who likes happiness. I believe we need to mingle our three consciousness, the consciousness of indigenous, black and white. We build a new culture for us where we can just rest and be happy. Also to help the Caribbean, because when I read a lot about the Caribbean, is the one who struggle a lot with identity, because was stripped all identity from them. to help them to heal as well. We heal together. That's that's all.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Okay, I think we've heard.
Elspeth, were you in any of those groups?
I was.
You was.
I was, yeah.
Great. Does anybody want to feed anything back from their group to the wider thing that you feel is important for us to know? Mariah.
So in our group, we also spoke about finances, we spoke about fundraising. Bobby really spoke about the importance of mental health and wellness. And then Sarah spoke about how they're building in mental health support workers and well-being into programs, and actually thinking about prioritizing that when you're putting in a funding application, like making sure that there's money earmarked just for well-being and fundraising. We also talked about how there's a competitive nature for finding jobs for artists, particularly within Bristol, and people having to, for example, balance having a full-time job and being an artist as well. And then Alex spoke about the Harbourside Festival and the need to be more diverse. And I think Sarah and Alex really connected about paying freelance artists for their expertise through steering boards. But then that presents another issue in terms of funding, because then in the funding application, you're going to have to put like steering group remuneration in there. And then finally, we also spoke about a lack of networks for artists to meet, share good practice, and look at potential collaborations.
Thank you, Mariah. And that's really good to hear all these different perspectives, actually. James has very cleverly put, he'd like to hear from a WECA perspective, which is what moves us straight to Sarah.
Yeah, hi. I think James has had to leave, unfortunately. So
we're recording it though.
Okay, cool. So yeah, what would you like to hear about specifically? Because there's lots of things I can talk about in the West of England Combined Authority, but what's most useful?
I think the most useful thing here would be for the support for artists.
Yeah.
And the drive for the elevating the diverse platform and in connecting people up. So I think that is what the WECA program, the Culture West program, is doing around that.
Yeah, no, thanks, Daisy. So yeah, so Culture West has been referenced a couple of times. So it's a big programme. It's one of our biggest investments across the region, the West of England region, which includes North Somerset, South Gloucestershire, Bristol and Bath and North East Somerset. So it's a £3.1 million programme. £1 million of that was from Arts Council England, and the first time they've really invested that significantly in a programme that's outside of their national portfolio organisations. So Culture West has a vision to develop a resilient, inclusive creative sector where any creative at whatever their stage of their career can thrive, and for our cultural offer to be truly inclusive. That's what the 35 plus delivery partners are coming together to help deliver. There's a big focus on Culture West in supporting freelancers specifically. So we've just given out 109 grants to regional freelancers, up to £2,000 to support their creative practice or buy equipment and materials or access training or mentors, for example. And the Culture West delivery partners are coming together to also offer a skills programme, so professional development training, networks and mentoring for creative freelancers from across the region. And that's, again, at whatever stage of your career or your age, that's been delivered through a partnership of Creative Youth Network, Bath Spa University, Superculture, who are based in Weston, and also Boom Satsuma, who are a Bristol-based organisation. So all of our opportunities for Culture West, I'll put the link to our website, the Culture West pages, because normally any opportunities, whether it's about finance or training or access to resources or space, is promoted through on the Culture West pages, but also through our amazing partners, some of which we have in this room. So Diverse Artists Network, who are part of Culture West, and also Black Southwest Network. So those partners in particular are working with other collaborators, so Wessel, which is a disability-led organisation, and a Black-led social enterprise called Creative Powerhouse, which is based in Bristol, and they are funded specifically to identify, nurture and support diverse artists and to create new platform opportunities, showcase opportunities for commissioning, as well as opportunities for business support and mentoring and access to finance. So that's Black South West Network, obviously mentioned their incubator programme, which is one of the many streams that Culture West is funding to specifically support diverse artists across this region. So I'll put the Culture West pages in the chat. I'll try and work that out because I'm not on my laptop, I'm on another device, which is why I've got a slightly clunky angle. So apologies that I'm sort of appearing in the corner of my kitchen and speaking to you. But I'll put if you do want to join the Culture West network, then obviously just I'll put my email in the chat as well, and you can join the newsletter, and basically all of those opportunities promoted through our network and our mailing list. And Culture West runs until the end of March 2026. Is that all right, Daisy? Is there anything else?
Great, thank you.
Okay.
If anybody's got a question, just feel free to ask it. And Rens, how linked into the Culture West group are you, Alison, your group? That was me asking you guys a question. I think because it feels like a very comprehensive program, but are we reaching into those groups that are not being served directly by the Culture West funding? So we'll come back to you and talk to you as a group about that. So the next thing. So do anybody need a break here? Because we've been on this for an hour. So if you do need a break, this is a good time to take it. Should we do 5 minutes?
Yeah, you could do.
I've just suddenly popped that into our. Do we say yes? Sarah James, Joe Plymouth, yes. Let's have a 5-minute break, and we'll see you at 12 minutes past 1. Are we all on? Put us back on. Noah, I can see you now.
Yeah. Your video back on.
Oh yeah, my video. Hi, Elspeth. No, we're just being. Van and I are just saying, actually, do you want a break? Oh, right. Yeah, we're going to run around the room and have a stretch. We're on cardiac arrest or non-arrest. It's 12 minutes. It's 13:13. Hi, everybody. We're back. We're back. We're back. We're going to assume that we're back. Alejandro, we haven't seen you or heard you. Can you speak to us? Maybe not. Maybe not back. Maybe having a silent attendance. Bobby, are you back?
I'm here. I'm just very tired, so I don't want to be super on camera because it's quite
Okay, it's just nice to know that we're all here.
I'm fully present, just hiding.
Yeah. And Rita, are you back? Amber, Karen? Yeah, Derek's back. And Rita's back, lovely. What was your organization, Rita?
I'm independent. I'm trying to set up two projects because I raised a son in UK and I'm not from UK. I have my identity, but I didn't know that my son was half British. I thought that just raise him with my own identity, it's good, it's okay. But he got a mental illness because I didn't know that although he did not born here, he have half of his identity was British because he grew up here.
Yes.
And then I got a degree in sociology, psychology. I had several trainings about sexuality, gender, worked in the museum because my desire to know what happened with him. And then I ended up knowing that it was a culture. He had an identity problem because of culture. And then I am here. That's it.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing. I thought heard you saying something about the West Country Museum or something. So I thought you were from an organization. So what is
I work in the museum and I work in cabs as well. And I'm trying to set up a thing for Black people understand their identity through culture.
Oh, well, we'd love to talk to you about helping you and supporting that.
Where are they?
Where are you based?
I'm based in Bedminster.
Okay.
Oh, brilliant.
We definitely want to talk to you.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to input something myself around investment, right? And the lack of, I think the arts, in my view, they don't kind of lobby in the same way as other kind of interests groups within the region or nationally, effectively. Therefore, an understanding of its importance in terms of that sort of culture and heritage, mental health, placemaking, impact on tourism, all these aspects which are fundamental to a thriving, economy, aren't really recognized in terms of the need for capital investment in the arts to make the city better. And I've always felt that we talk a lot about structural inequality and structural racism in the work we do at Black Southwest Network. And I find that, the funding or the investment streams that are in the sector kind of dial that up. It's highly competitive. It's we talk about diversity. Yeah, there's lots of protective, kind of characteristics within our society, from LGBTQ all the way through to white working class. All those things end up in some sort of competitive argument, which is what I think Culture West was trying to do, is break down that for the sort of hyperlocal organizations, so that we start to talk to each other, and we start to integrate, and we start to build, for want of a better word, a movement to actually properly articulate what is needed within the sector, and to actually put that coherent argument to decision makers around where they kind of invest. It's almost perceived to be a kind of nice to have as opposed to a kind of absolute necessity, and that I think is an undervaluation of the impact of the arts within, nationally and within cities, within, kind of region, more kind of widespread regional kind of outlets. It's not about, whether it's this organization should survive against this organization or whether this voice is more important than that voice. It's about a more collective kind of understanding of the role of arts and creativity from the beginning of time, to the human condition.
This leads us quite nicely into our next little breakout room chat. And Mariah, you'll note from your notes that we're changing things slightly. This is what we did in our 5 minutes break. And Vandana, I'm going to just say what the next breakout room we'll look at.
Yeah, we were going to have 3 breakout rooms, but we're just going to have 1 more now. And basically, we want you to think about, we've been talking a lot about challenges and the difficulties, but there's going to be some good and positive and successes that you guys have been having as well, I hope. And if not, that's okay. We are going to talk about the collaborative solutions. How, like, I think Derek mentioned.
Well, that was what Derek was saying, but how do we collaborate? What are the ways that we collaboratively that we can improve the situation for both artists from diverse backgrounds, getting work, having a sustainable career and thriving, paying their rent in Bristol or not having to move to Newport in order to survive, and for organizations as well to be able to program and book artists and just
and change perceptions as well.
How do we work together as a sector? What has worked in the past? What's our successes? And how do we imagine we could collaborate better in the future? So that's the sort of bulk. Have you got that, Mariah? So we're making it up. We're sort of combining 2 breakout rooms together because there's a lot less of us in this thing. So we're being a little bit more flexible. So are we all right with that? Any questions? So pop us into some breakout rooms, Mariah. Give them the question and we'll see you when we come back in 10. We are in the main session. Ooh, let's go here. How was that as a conversation?
I want Derek to finish what he was saying.
Go on then. Derek, finish what you were saying.
I'm talking about creativity and where you position it, and and the arguments. So obviously, from an artistic perspective, and the sector often argues with passion, right? We need this, we need that. It's important to the city. It's placemaking and all this sort of stuff. But there are connections, and I don't know who makes them because the cultural creative sector aren't very good at it. But industry, when we are kind of talking to, say, big engineering manufacturing, where there's obviously a diversity issue within their workforces, and that impacts upon their ability to attract global talent and do all these sort of things that are beneficial to them in that and also connect their skills, knowledge, and expertise at community level so they can demonstrate social value, so they can get contracts and all these sort of things and what's going on in either this country or locally. Art has a real big role to play in that kind of connection piece, right? But nobody's really kind of putting those arguments in a kind of structured business case for increasing investment. It's often driven by passion, or we're what we need to do to improve the kind of the talent that's coming through, or the talent pathways. What about skills and all these other things that are really sort of vital to a modern kind of forward-thinking society? Who's arguing that? And what about the creative mindset, the design mindset, all the things that come out of creativity, which are actually future focused, how we're going to engage with AI and tech, and what's good for, all these things. And I don't feel, I feel there's improvement to be made. I think we do it well in certain aspects, but I think there's improvement to be made to actually, put that case strongly and at the center of, economic development for the region. To be honest, it tends to come from tech or something like that. It's voices from that are creative and they're artistic, but they're kind of more kind of aligned to kind of business thinking. And I think. I know it's quite a challenge, and we talked about revolution a lot, didn't we? Right, sort of. And I think you can look at it through the window of an opportunity, but in the end of the day, you've got to change minds, and you've got to create revolutionary conditions, because the mindset at the moment is austerity and all these things that we've kind of bought into as a society as being a kind of economic norms. If that was the case, you'd have never had the suspension bridge. You'll never have like a million things. If a different mindset is about what the future looks like, and whether we embrace it, what investment is needed.
I think there's a manifesto coming here, Derek, which we could probably all sign up to. Elspeth.
Yeah, just wanted to add to that. Yeah, we were talking about revolution. That's what we were talking about in our session. There's nothing more to do now. We can't just faff around the edges. We need a revolution, and how are we going to do it? And we have to stick together. We all have to work together. All of us artists, all of us interested in artists and art. And we are revolutionary people. That's why we're artists, and that's why we work in the arts. And we need to work together to make sure that we have our, well, yes, of course, we're supported in it, and artists are supported in the way they need to, but that real change is starting to be made. So how does that happen? How does everyone come together to start the revolution? We were talking about it, Jo, weren't we? Bristol City Council.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so I guess that's, and will be the cultural strategy. It is, and we were saying, strategies can sound like just a thing that sits on a shelf, but unless you've put things down and articulated it and make sure that the right people are articulating it, that's the thing we want to try and get right now. And that open session on Friday is just one of sessions that will be in the new year to what are the important things? What we basically talked in that session was, can we bed a revolution in a strategy? It seems like, like the opposite. It's like, rather than be at the gates shouting, this needs to be better, which it does, as Derek is saying, make the case for it. We are trying to do it with different things. Social value, we're working away in the council to go up in that social value bit. We want cultural offers in there. This is how you can procure, you can get this contract. Your 20% of social value can be supporting young people with creative skills or something. It takes a lot of time. So there's a lot of engineering going on inside, I think, WECA and counts different unitary authorities to try and do that. But the strategies, if we, a strategy can have a revolution hidden away in it with deliverable actions. As the WECA cultural plan has, these are the initiatives that are going, there's a strategy, but there are initiatives. I was just basically saying the system's not working for anybody. It's not like we can go, oh, councils, you need to do better. Oh, businesses, oh, developers. Yeah, there's loads of money in places, comparatively speaking, but actually economically, the model's not working for anybody. That's an opportunity.
Definitely. James, you wanted to jump in there.
I just wanted to follow up for what Derek said, and it's like, how can we involve the revolution? I think it's, and I'm not sure if it's across all the arts sector. I know for musicians particularly, is that it has to go back to the people that are elected into positions of power need to be held accountable for the positions they're in. For example, just in Bristol alone, the Central MP is a deputy leader of a major political party. The Northwest MP is the chief secretary to the Treasury. These are people that need to represent their communities and are in a position to make decisions and should be making those decisions. So, and it's tough because if you agree with them, but if Darren Jones is not doing his job, now he's in a position of power to put money into these sectors. He is ultimately accountable for those decisions. Our MP out here is Dan Norris. You know, I've not heard anything about venues to do with Dan Norris. And whether I agree with him politically, from my perspective in the art culture, if he doesn't do anything, he's going to have to answer that. And that goes down to local council level, because it's very easy for councils to send people that are employed to be in, and I respect those people that are here, but you don't see the MP and you don't see the people that are elected to do this. And maybe it's a chance the arts sector, with very answer, need to be a bit more political. We need to actually be more critical of our people in power, would be my suggestion.
Yeah, and I feel that the most revolutionary thing would be to fund artists at the source. So as like in France, if you got your weekly survival wage, you would free up your time to be able to engage with the things that are going on, rather than scrabbling around with some part-time job that's driving you bonkers and making you depressed. Sarah.
Yeah, I just wanted to come in actually and add to what James was saying. So I totally agree that I think our political leaders need to be more accountable, and also to nudge you all in terms of the mayoral elections that are going on, or be going on rather, next April. So Dan Norris is stepping down as the mayor for the West of England Combined Authority. All political parties are putting forward their mayoral candidates at the minute. As an officer of the Combined Authority, I can't actually go and talk to them about how amazing our cultural creative offer is across the region. So what I need is people like yourself who can talk to the candidates to say, we need creative and culture in your manifesto. So each of those potential candidates will develop a manifesto in January time, and I need you to go and talk to them and say, absolutely, creative and cultural needs to be your priority when you come in as mayor. And then that gives me the agency to basically keep referring to that manifesto and saying, oh, but you did say we were going to get more money in for creative and culture, and point to it. So it's a bit of a plea really on the back of what James was saying, that you need to go and have a conversation with those candidates. I think it's all sort of apart from the Lib Dems who haven't announced, I think the other political parties have, so just have a look at that online. But please do go and speak to them and make sure that creative and cultural is written into their manifestos, because then we can unlock investment into the region and also hold them to account as well. So,
or maybe one of the collaborations is that amongst us we can create an easy emailable demand that we can send out to like all of our members, all of the people that engage with us, that goes to all of the candidates, so that it makes it simple. It's just like forwarding this email saying, if you don't put culture in your manifesto at the top, we're not voting for you. Just so they get that really nice and simple, the message. Was there anything else? Oh, I wanted also to bring up what James had said in our group, and we had Karen in the group as an independent individual artist who felt unaffiliated to organizations that would make it easier for her to be collaborative. And James was saying that it shouldn't be a question of whether you're affiliated or not. It should be that all of these opportunities are in some way much more accessible, and that they almost come, I'm adding this, James, it's an image that came to my head, but almost comes like with a token on the back of your cereal packet, like information used to come, you know, that how you access these opportunities and how you access the arts and culture in your area should be much more easily available to every individual, because it is very much hit and miss, isn't it? It's like you choose this pathway, so therefore you can find out about that. But as arts and culture are so important in every aspect of your life, it should be a much easier process to find out how to access all the opportunities. Did I say that right at all, James, or did I embellish a lot?
No, I think I think the point I was making is that you look at even in this, and this isn't a great get together of people, but you imagine being in Karen or Anna or in Rita's shoes, right? And you're faced with people that have got massive acronyms after their names, and it comes with that sort of like, oh, I'm this person, I'm backed by this major institution, and I'm either paid to be here or I know what I'm talking about. That can be very like anxiety. It can make you feel inadequate in those places. And these people, individuals, have as much impact in culture as we do in massive institutions. We may have more weight to make change, but a craft cafe in Bath can do as much for that community as WECA can, as we can, as Bristol can, you know, and we need those independent businesses because they're the ones that reach the communities in the daytime. So I think it was just the point I was making is that we need to be aware of it's all about internet working with businesses, but are all our doors revolving doors? So an example was I didn't know Sarah. I only knew WECA by WECA. A thing for me as a institution is I know now Sarah is someone that's interested in this within WECA, so I can go to that person directly. Would I have got that information as a member of the public is a question that I would ask to reflect. Would I know about Jo if I went to Bristol Council if I didn't know about her previously? Would I know about Amber if I went towards Philwood? Is that accessible and reachable from a ground level from someone that hasn't got any backing right up to people in my position who are looking for the right person?
I know that Sarah and Culture West are working on a mapping tool, aren't we, Sarah, to kind of really make that more visible in terms of the kind of integrated ecosystem and that, you know,
Yeah.
that's really...
Yeah, for freelancers, yeah, definitely. We have, and again, sorry, I'll work out how to do this. Or actually, DC, are you doing a follow-up post the meeting where I can circulate some links? Is that planned?
Yes.
Or...
Yes.
Great, I'll do that. It'll probably be easier than me trying to work out how to do it in chat. So we have a freelancer resource. It's an online toolkit, basically, specifically for creative freelancers. And you click on it and it gives you access to skills and training, to finance and grants, to organisations who want to talk to you or want to employ you, to latest commissions and work. So it's meant to be a one-stop shop for freelancers to help them navigate what is a massive, complex, as James was saying, and sometimes a little bit impenetrable world of funding and also opportunities for freelancers across the region. So we'll make sure I circulate that as well as contact details and Culture West. And yeah, I think you're right, James. I see it as my job to be in spaces like this. I do get paid to come to this meeting. I'm in a position of privilege to do that, but I need to know what's going on the ground to then be able to help and direct resources and connect people. And I'm sure Jo also, speaking on behalf of Jo, but Jo probably also feels very similar, that it's our job to connect and to broker those relationships particularly between those big organisations that can feel a little bit impenetrable to get hold of. So
yeah, thank you. And it's our job, Dan, it's our self-selected mission is to try and connect people. So whether you're an artist or a venue or an organization, it's us. We see ourselves, our role is to try and be a bridge and be accessible and available to, and in order to do that, we have to raise money to be able to pay for our time. But our life's blood is about bringing opportunities towards diverse artists. That's who we represent mostly. And then in order to do that, we have to work with, we work with as many of the institutions in the area as possible to find out what's going on and connecting people up to make something happen in their individual lives, like whether it's meeting with the old Vic and getting a play on in the Western Studio, or Karen, I think you must have found out about the West of England grants through us, I would have hoped through, or how did you find out about there? Oh, you're gone. Muted. You're muted. You're still muted.
I'm with Bristol. I'm on Bristol Creatives and yourselves, so it would have been through one or other. Because that's my only way of finding out stuff at the moment, because I'm new to Bristol, so I'm a bit limited what I know.
That's great though, that that shows that it's working to a degree, that some of this information is coming from Sarah through other organizations onto the internet or whatever platform you're connected to.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I don't see a lot until last minute. I've missed out on quite a few things because I've not seen, a lot of these community ones that I've wanted to do. I've suddenly seen them like 3 or 4 days before the deadline and don't have time to put a proposal together, which is really hard work. It's like, that's why I need Dan, really. That's what I need Dan for, is to help me with that awareness and getting stuff together. The other thing, I don't know if it's relevant, but getting DBSs is really hard for freelancers as well. We need a lot of companies now, we can't go, and I can't as an individual go and get myself registered online with a DBS. I've still got mine from working in schools, but it's only valid for another year or so. And then I don't know what I'm going to do from there. So we need.
Well, I went on gov.co.uk, but I'll talk to you about that separately because we're almost coming to an end. So Van.
Yeah, we're at the end now because we've only got about 5 odd minutes left. But in the last few minutes, we like sort of people to have a chance to, if there's anything really burning that you want to say or announce. But what I want to announce is that this Friday, if you're a visual artist, we're going to have imagining all things visual here at the Arnold Feeney. In the upstairs room, is it the community room?
Yeah.
So come along if you're interested in that. And we're going to be designing a all things event in the new year, I reckon. So come along to that. There's also a Bristol Refugee Festival planning meeting tomorrow as well. So it's the other option if you want to get involved with that.
And so tomorrow on Friday, you could be very busy going to the Bristol City Council Culture planning thing at the M Shed in the morning, and then you can whiz straight over, having grabbed a crepe on the way as you go over the bridge to the Arnold Feeney, and we're asking what is needed for visual artists in the city that is not already part of like Spike Island or the Arnold Feeney or whatever. So, and it's just a conversation, a pre-event type consultation.
Yeah, Mariah's put some other things up on the chat as well, and feel free yourselves to put anything else up that you feel that you wanted to share with everybody, or just speak out.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say this has been brilliant.
Oh, good.
I just found it really helpful, and it's really we have to have like difficult, not this was a difficult conversation, but some of the things about us organizational or what we are, and I was thinking, reflecting on me as an organizer, my family's a little ecology. I'm the one that's got the steady job. My husband's an actor, really struggled last, so we all have little ecologies and families and collectives, which is how we can seem like we're one thing or another. It was that intersectionality that somebody mentioned earlier as well. I was an artist, now I'm a this person, and but I found that there's so much here that I found really, really useful. It feels like there's I do feel, I know it's difficult, but it's a positive time because there's a lot of things that if we can bed these in as a region and as unitary authorities all working together, we can do positive change. So I just want to say thank you to everybody.
That brings us beautifully to our feedback form, which we do really, really, really appreciate it if you can fill it out, because this is how we get funded and this is how we actually know what's required as well and how we can do better. One of the things we keep saying is we're going to start charging people for these events, because we had 50 odd people sign up for it and 20 odd people turn up. So we're like, oh, what's going on here?
And you plan for 50. So you think, all right, but how are we going to manage all these people? And then suddenly you've only got 20 in the room, and then it feels a bit like, oh, that's weird. So we're going to have to think about that, aren't we?
We will.
But that does say in January, we will be launching our agency online with 20 artists, but also our other artists behind that we won't have on site, and our memberships, because we have a lot of people come to talk to us, and they want an hour or 2 or 3 of our time, and we need to find a way to somehow pay for that. We're trying to be a less less than 100% funded organisation. We're trying to shift our balance a little bit. So you might hear about that from us and spread the word.
And do sign up to our newsletter, really important, because that's where you will get our information around all the events, opportunities, jobs, and we keep the region quite connected through
And
that.
we promote all the events that come to us, really. Any diverse events we try and promote. Julia is very busy, aren't you, Julia? Anybody else want to say anything before we leave?
I just want to say, if anyone's anywhere near Bath and fancies coming to a session at my craft cafe, I'd love to welcome you. Just drop me a line. I'll give you guys a code. Maybe you could share.
And when are you open? All the time?
No, it's a pop-up. So actually I've got one this Friday morning, but it sounds like everyone's going to be very busy. And then down in Frome on Saturday, actually morning and afternoon, and then at the it's the Royal Institute of Science and Literature in Queen Square in Bath for the Christmas market, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I've got a website on there, but I'd love to welcome you guys along. So yeah, I'll send you guys a discount code and then maybe you could share it.
Please put your website on the chat in case we've missed it. That'd
Thank
be great. And also Rita, please put your contact on the chat just so I can stay in touch with you. And anyone else that...
And Alex, has this been a useful event for you from your Harbourside hat?
Yeah, no, it has been really, really useful. Yeah, so I've learned lots and met loads of people, and yeah, we're interested in, from a Harbour Festival point of view, in sort of collaborations and partnerships to, bring more diverse artists into the festival, which is a big aim for us and a passion of ours. So yeah, if anyone wants to connect with us and myself to get involved in the festival, please do. I'll put my email address as well in here. But yeah, we're great to chat to people about that.
We'll come back to you and talk about that sort of anyway, because that's something that we can offer out to artists.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's 2:00, so we want to be on time. So we're going to say thank you very much for coming, and stay in touch and have a great rest of the year.
Yeah.
And we'll see you in the new year, hopefully.
Thanks so much.
Or Friday.